if we can end boys and girls as young as newborn infants from being sold? Not only is this an international problem, but it is here in the United States, in our own backyard. What if we can change the status of every 30 seconds another person from being sold into slavery? What if we can change it from being a billion-dollar industry, growing faster than Apple, Google, and Starbucks combined? For millions of kids, it means being trapped, cold, not having food, and the only chance of survival is to be rescued. Something we all take for granted is our freedom. Every person is created in the image of God. The exploitation of women, men, and children in order to gain a profit is a crime against humanity and our Creator. Human trafficking is a complex and dynamic industry. It is widespread, but exact numbers are difficult to come by. An estimated of 45.8 million people live in modern-day slavery. According to the International Labor Organization, that global profits from forced labor exceed $150 billion per year. Between 14,500 and 17,500 people are victims of human trafficking each year in the United States through sex trafficking and forced labor. The average age of entry into commercial sex slavery is 13 years old, and this surpasses gender, ethnic background, and race. Every 30 seconds, a child is trafficked. That means that by the time I finish my speech, an average of 14 children would have been trafficked. And even though human trafficking is a crime under international, federal, and state law, the problem continues to grow. Now, you're probably wondering, how is this happening? And that is because the perpetrators are smart, and underestimating them can lead to tragic consequences. Aside from that, our language, attitude, perspective, and what we can do, talk of victims, survivors, idea of a universal looking perpetrator, and ultimately silence is what allows this to continue. The biggest tactic that perpetrators use is something called grooming. The definition of grooming, aside from keeping oneself clean, is to prepare or train someone for a particular purpose or task. Grooming happens in stages, and is a form of severe manipulation, and it can happen to anyone, not just children. People see this terrible crime and respond with passion, but we need to do more than follow our hearts. We need to apply social scientific methods to study of the problem. We need to analyze how human trafficking works. Who's involved? How do they operate? What's their motivation? We need to identify points where we can intervene, develop effective strategies of intervention, and then test those strategies and continue to refine our approach. Now, for example, we can look at human trafficking as a business model. The traffickers are doing it because they can make money. There is supply and demand. Supply consists of slaves, recruiter, transport, and any intermediaries. Demand consists of pimps, agents, brothels, owners, basically buyers. How can we reduce the supply though? These are the people who are vulnerable to exploitation because they are in poverty, they face inequality and racism. Can we work with social justice to reduce inequality? Can we educate potential victims to increase awareness and reduce their vulnerability? Can we go after the criminals and increase the risk of doing business by changing policies, increasing penalties, and giving law enforcement the tools they need to recognize and investigate trafficking? Can we decrease the demand for commercial sex by working to change our culture, by educating young men, changing the culture of sexualization of minors, and not tolerating the purchase of sex from victims? We need the heart and the head to bring robust analysis, logic, and good social science to bear on the problem. We all need to start talking about this issue. Traffickers build on silence, both of those who they use and abuse, but also the silence of society. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what human trafficking is. Let's talk about how we can act on it. Bottom line, in order to bring about change, we have got to change our language. We've got to change our attitude. And we've got to change our perspective on what it means to be involved in combating human trafficking. So, we have to speak about it. And there are many resources out there that provide instructions on how we can identify human traffickers and how we can identify traffickers who are trying to victimize individuals. So bring out those resources and let's rise up against trafficking. One favorite organization I like to follow is The Hour. So you could learn about it, because it could potentially be you, your loved one, any of your children, anyone. So let's try to end it. Thank you.